It wasn't the European Union that smashed your trade unions. No, it was Maggie Thatcher. It wasn't the European Union that sold off British steel. No, it was the British Conservatives. It wasn't the European Union that depleted Britain's social housing stock. That would be low-income housing. No, it was the Conservatives. It wasn't the EU that underfunded education in the United Kingdom. No, that would be the Conservatives. It wasn't the EU that sold the country's gold reserves. No, that would be the Conservatives. It wasn't the EU that handed the interest rate over to the Bank of England and then failed to regulate it. No, that would be the Conservatives. It wasn't the EU that brought in tuition fees for students. No, that was the Conservatives. You know, if they don't have skin in the game. It wasn't the EU that wants to privatize your national health service. Seriously, in England right now, in the United Kingdom right now, the Conservative Party is talking about selling off, privatizing the National Health Service. They want to turn the UK into Reagan's America. And the Brits are saying, you know, many of the Brits are saying, you say what? But the problem is that these conservatives have grabbed hold of this hatred for the European Union. And see, again, I keep saying this. People know that they're screwed. They just don't understand the details of how and why they got there, how and why they got screwed. And so they look around, and then the demagogues come along. You know, the Boris Johnsons or the Donald Trumps come along, and they say, "I'll tell you who screwed you. It's those brown people over there, or it's those people of a different religion over here, or it's those people from another country." Well, no, it's not. It's a corrupt system. It's frankly neoliberalism. It's conservative economic policy. It's Reaganomics. It's Thatcheronomics. It's Ronald Reagan who screwed us. It's Margaret Thatcher who screwed the UK. I mean, let's be clear about this. They go on, and it's not the EU that's begun privatizing your police forces. Oh my God, they're doing this. It's not the EU that's cutting jobs in your armed forces. But once again, congratulations on handing complete unregulated control over to those who did. And that's my point. I mean, the tragedy of Brexit is that the Conservatives may well end up running the UK further into the ground. But here in the United States, yeah, we get the same thing going on. And we call this, and a big piece of this scam is, this rigged system that 71% of Americans say, yeah, I know it. A large part of that is trade, has to do with trade. And that's why people are losing their tribes. They're losing their jobs. They're losing their sense of community. David Brooks wrote, who I usually have nothing but scorn and disdain for because he's sort of a half-conservative, mealy-mouthed conservative, whatever, wishy-washy. I don't know what to call David Brooks, actually. But he's a smart guy. And he wrote an op-ed in the New York Times today that is the perfect bookend to Bernie Sanders' op-ed, which is also in today's New York Times. David Brooks's is Revolt of the Masses. He says anyone who spends time in the working class parts of America, and one presumes Britain, notices the contagions of drug addiction and suicide and the feelings of enemy, cynicism, pessimism, and resentment. Part of this pain arises from deindustrialization. Good jobs are hard to find. Excuse me. But what's been lost are the social institutions and the cultural values that made it possible to have self-respect amid hardship. So, I mean, David Brooks is like going for the conservative spin on this, which is, okay, we changed the economic system. So we broke up your place of employment. We shut down your factory. We destroyed your tribe. But it's your fault. Because you, the working person, you have lost your self-respect amid hardship. I mean, he says, people used to say, I may not make a lot of money, but people count on me. I'm loyal, tough, hardworking, resilient, and part of a good community. He calls it the working class honor code. He says we've lost it. Well, we've lost it because we're losing the working class, not because the working class has become a bunch of, whiny, pathetic, angry, whatever. And Bernie Sanders, he's got, his pieces. Democrats need to wake up. Surprise, surprise. Workers in Britain, many of whom have seen a decline in their standard of living, while the very rich in their country have become much richer, have turned their backs on the European Union, a globalized economy that is failing them and their children. And it's not just the British who are suffering, Bernie writes in the New York Times. That increasingly globalized economy, established and maintained by the world's economic elite, is failing people everywhere. Incredibly, the wealthiest 62 people on this planet own as much wealth as the bottom half of the world's population, 3.6 billion people. The top 1% now owns more wealth than the whole of the bottom 99%. The very, very rich enjoy unimaginable luxury, while billions of people endure abject poverty, unemployment, inadequate health care, education, housing, and drinking water. He says, could this rejection be the current form of the global economy happen in the United States? You bet it could. And this is what I was saying yesterday and the day before. I mean, it's like Bernie was channeling my Monday and Tuesday shows. We have ripped the guts out of neoliberalism, Reaganism, laissez-faire economics, trickle-down economics, libertarian economics, conservative economics, whatever you want to call it, which has been embraced by both the Democratic and the Republican Party, but especially the Republican Party. At least in the Democratic Party, there's still a large chunk of the Democratic Party that's pushing back against this and pushing back hard. And Bernie is the most visible piece of that now. But they've sold out the working class in exchange for this idea that, if just the really brilliant elites run everything will be fine. We'll have the gnomes in Brussels do it. Or we'll have the banksters in New York do it. They can take care of things. They know how to run things. It doesn't work.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.